Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Adrian.
Good morning. I had my music on in the background waiting. I'm excited. Got a lot of stuff to cover today.
Absolutely. Well, we didn't hear your music, but I'm glad you heard some.
It was definitely a mood booster.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, happy Monday. All right. So a Monday wouldn't be complete without you giving us an update. Tell us what took place this day in history, sir.
I love that this is now becoming a want. All right, here we go.
A
So
thing.
November
It's now
10th,
a thing.
1969. Here we go. The beloved children's educational series, ready? Sesame Street premiered on public television, taking us way back. Here's the cool part. You're going to all say, Adrian, how in the world does this tie into real estate? Here you go. While Big Bird and Elmo weren't discussing discount points, market penetration, CMAs, or price adjustments, the show fundamentally helped shape how to communicate complex ideas to a very particular audience. And I'll just say it that way, a skill that is very real and needed in your real estate world. Think about it this way. You've got a seller stuck on an outdated number. Sometimes you just need to repeat the information to data. The number of the day for your home to sell is, you fill in the blank. All right, that's my time.
I think right now we can go with the count. No, you know what? Actually, what's really impressive to me? How long they've been on air. Think about that. The number of generations
1969.
that have passed. There aren't many things you can say that have lasted that long. That's impressive.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe a close second would be The Simpsons, but that's a whole different segment.
I don't know. I don't think I put those two together, sir, but okay. Those are
Love it.
memes. All right, just want to remind you all today is our third quarter update. So we're doing this for you all live via Zoom. As a reminder, all of the slides are available to you. Davies did a great job and gave us a QR code, and guess where it's at? Live in Circle. So click on the link, you see it right there. You can get everything you need from today's presentation in the Circle app. All right. Hope you all got that. And the team will throw that back into the chat a little later just in case. All right, let's move on here because this has been the headlines and what has been gripping everyone's attention since last week. I'll start with the headline at the very top. The first headline you'll see there is it says unprecedented wave of New York City businesses are headed to Florida. WPTV found that dozens of New York businesses have filed to expand or move to Florida after the sitter's mayoral elections. And I just loved these memes, Adrian. This was Facebook and Instagram. It lit up between Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of the Statue of Liberty, who is making her way down to South Florida. Well, to Florida, anyhow. And with it on the far right, you will see the traffic that it brings along with it.
You,
So,
you know what's funny? I saw those headlines, and so I'm like, I know what they're selling. I know what the stuff. But can I tell you what I saw? And just a completely different thing, right? I saw, holy crap, if I see what's coming, or I think I know what's coming, I need to brush up on my homestead exemption process, be ready to discuss utility bills, driver's licenses, proofs of domicile, like the stuff that hey, get ready. If they show up, that's what you've got to be an expert in. Get ready to become, if you're not already, the expert in luxury condo buildings, gated communities that are real close to like these financial hubs, amenity rich living environments. That's what I read. And then the last one, I can't help it. I hate being this guy. How many attorneys and CPAs are you in connection with? That's what I read.
100%. Well, we're gonna ask our agents to see kind of what they've seen, right? Davies is gonna throw a poll up there for you all just a minute. But Google came out or Travely posted that Google said searches for Miami real estate actually shot up 89% right after the Mondami victory. So we want to know, are you seeing a difference in the marketplace in just the last few days? We'd love for you. We've got a poll up right now. Go ahead and answer the question, whether you're on a phone or on your computer. It should have popped up for you. But if you're driving, please don't stop and answer the question. Uh, so let's see. We still have some answers coming in. We've got about half of you that have responded so far.
Is it a good time to say, I know who my New Yorkers are who are answering texts while driving?
No, we won't
Okay,
talk about that.
okay. Just saying, just saying. I don't know anybody like that.
I teach good habits, Adrian, not some of the bad ones I have. Okay, let's go through. I'll give you guys just a quick insight to this poll. So, with about 56% of you answering, we've got 55% of you said you've not seen any noticeable difference yet from New York. We've got 22% of you that said there is some uptick, but a few, but not a major shift yet. 12% of you said yes, you definitely saw more leads from the New York market in the last 30 days. And then 8% of you said that you don't work that market and you haven't, so you're neutral on it. All right, cool. Thanks, guys, for participating. We have a couple of polls for you all today. So I'm going to go ahead and share those results. You should be able to see
Look
those
at that.
right now. All right. Interesting
Mhm.
numbers. I would venture to say our markets in the downtown area will start to see it first. This has been a question, agents and even consumers. I had a past client of my own who reached out to me on Saturday and said, "Hey, Nat, what's your take on this? What do you think is going to happen?" And I said, well, I do believe that the ultra wealthy will start to make a migration change. That doesn't mean it's all coming to South Florida or to Florida in general. I do believe that there will probably be about 3 states, that maybe 4, that'll be the recipients. Florida being definitely a top contender. Texas is another top contender. We're already seeing financial firms setting themselves up in that marketplace. And then Tennessee and parts of the Carolinas, that's where we're seeing people making a decision to go to. What we're seeing right now is you're seeing the ultra wealthy and those with businesses that are perceived to be at risk, where they perceive themselves to be at risk. That's what we're seeing now, and that's the early signs. What it will take some months before we see what happens with the everyday consumer, whether they make a decision, but the people who can financially make that decision and or create employment and move people here, that's where the early signs are starting to happen. So we'll see. Jury's still out, but here's what I would do. I'm an agent listening to this right now. I am calling everybody in my database. I am reaching out to every agent that I know in the New York markets to ensure that I've got relationships. Because when people make a decision to relocate or to move, you want to be sure that you are included in that opportunity for that decision. Anything you
Love
want
that.
to add, Adrian?
Yeah, I was just going to add that I like the perspective that you shared, right? So information's cool, and then what you do with it, I think, is far more important. And we've said that for years. I'm an agent out here today. I'm reading this, and I'm getting caught up. Um, I would start doing some homework. What do I, as an agent, need to know about South Florida being a destination for tax exile? Yeah, take the note, tax exile, especially for the finance and tech sections. Just what do you need to know? Get brushed up on that so that you could be the resource for information that when people start calling or that you start reaching out organically, you have what to talk about. All right, that's my take.
Well, and I would add one more thing, because where consumers are looking, they're not only looking at the regular real estate sites, they're also looking at places like AI today. And you need to start training that AI to ensure that it finds you and locates you. So what I would be doing is creating blogs that would be appealing to somebody that would be relocating out of the New York 5 borough area that might be interested in South Florida. Create those blogs, get it onto your normal blog sites and places like Reddit that actually poll and feed the AI. Okay, enough of that.
Cool.
All right, next piece. I mean, I feel like, like we always talk about, there are some weeks that go by, you're like, there's no news. And then a week happens and there's just news after news after news. And here's the next thing. This hit late on Friday, was the news over the weekend. And that is the administration is currently looking at taking a 30-year mortgage and bumping that up to providing a 50-year mortgage option, and hoping to break some of the gridlock that's in housing and or the affordability or lack thereof for some buyers in this marketplace. And so we kind of looked at this, and again, it's not something that's available today.
Mhm.
However, FHFA and head of housing, as well as the full administration, is really behind this opportunity. So we ran a couple of numbers to see what the difference would be. And so if we looked at a 50-year mortgage versus a 30-year mortgage, if we just took a median priced home in the mid 600 range, let's just say it's around 650, a median price property, a 30-year mortgage might put that all in price, taxes, insurance, et cetera, somewhere in the $5,000 range.
Mhm.
A 50-year option will save that consumer about 20 to 25% on a monthly payment basis. So you're talking $1,000 to $1,250, something like that a month. That's a $12 to $15,000 a year savings from on a monthly payment perspective. Now, the flip side to that is, well, you just took the interest from paying it in 30 years to 50 years, right? And so if you were to cast that loan out over a 50-year period, it's another $200,000 plus in interest. But how many people stay in their home 30 years?
Right.
Now, how many
I
people
like
are,
it.
let's say,
I always like to do the play devil's advocate, but not for the purpose of naysaying this. It's just you have to know how to speak to this for the consumer that might need it or consider it, right? You're adding 20 more years to pay off the mortgage. Ooh, that sounds weird, but it sounded weird when you said it the first time. How about this? Change the language. That's a half century of debt obligation. But I like what you said is that if you understand that, okay, great, not everybody stays, most consumers don't stay in their homes that long. Um, does it get buyers into homes because, that where the prices were elevated? Does it open up that consumer market, right? Buyers who might otherwise have been priced out. You've got to be able to look at this from both sides so that you can completely explain this to a consumer. Hey, look, maybe this is a good option or maybe something to consider.
right. And it's a consideration for some. And I think if you also look at it, the difference is the monthly payment difference. So let's
Yeah.
just say it's $1,000 a month less out of pocket. That's 12,000 in a year. Now times that by the average consumer that lives there, what, 10 years, right? 120, $150,000, kind of depending. What could that money do? So just a
Mhm.
thought. That's just, those are the two sides of that spectrum, to just know that is coming, and that we'll probably be seeing that sometime early part of next year. That will be released when Fannie and Freddie are out of government conservatorship and likely rolled out in an IPO coming to us sometime at the end of this year, early next year. All right, here was the other big announcement. This came out sort of quietly last week and then started getting more of a snowball attention early this morning, of all things. And
Mhm.
it was that Fannie Mae announced that it will eliminate minimum credit scores. It currently has a 620 minimum credit score requirement for all desktop underwriting. As of November 16th, there will be no more minimum credit score required. So, Adrian, what kind of consumer could this actually help?
I call it the near miss consumer, right? That's that potential buyer who just fell below the previous cutoff. And by cutoff, whether it was just below that 620 minimum credit score or that one little ding or two little dings on the credit that affected them, but they have stable job history, good cash reserves, their DTIs were in line. Some of you who have been navigating the lending side of your deals over the last couple of months have really felt this like you got to be kidding me. How did this consumer not qualify? Um, this starts looking like a really cool part, like a really good thing. And Natascha, like everything, when we look at this, we also have to be able to understand the other side of the equation. Is this also a great thing for every consumer, and is there some potential risk? And can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, I mean, I think, for the consumer who may have had a credit ding, maybe they went through a divorce and, it affected the credit. There's all sorts of reasons why sometimes the income is there and the credit isn't. And yet we have to be concerned that this could open the door, and let's just hope it doesn't give us a repeat of the last go around. That's all I'm going to say.
I want to add one more thing because I was thinking about this when we first looked at it and think about all the technology that's available. Guys, they know where you shop, they know how much your private education is costing your kids. Like there's so much data on how the consumer is utilizing their money that I start to understand, okay, great, then maybe they're just getting rid of this one factor, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll get rid of checks and balances. So while a good for near miss prospective buyers, I think that's a great thing. I think the checks and balances aren't going away just yet, or at least I'll use your words. I pray they don't.
I agree. And I also know that coming to a loan officer near you in the near future will also be the ability to utilize the crypto, which is one of those things that's been hindering the younger consumer who's moved into that realm and doesn't necessarily have proof and doesn't have their money in the general markets that has it in crypto, and the new things that are coming out will also allow that. So we'll see some new stuff coming out. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up.
All right.
Awesome. All right. Just as a reminder, here are the top countries that are searching our listings both in Broward and Dade County. Now, what's really cool is 7 out of 10 of the countries are the same across the board. And we just have three differences that are, I'm sorry, 8 out of 10. We have two differences. In Broward, we have the Dominican Republic and Jamaica are both searching our listings. And in Dade County, we have Germany and Italy. Those are the only major differences. Oh, we have the Philippines, sorry, in Broward right now. And that they're usually in Dade too, but for whatever reason now it's in Broward. What I want you guys to understand was this is the end of the third quarter. If you have ties to people in these countries, this is the conversation to have because they are searching properties. And this, by the way, is as of realtor.com. So these are consumers that are searching on realtor.com. Just pay attention.
Now you brought up something that was important, if I can, for one quick second. You said this was information prior to the third, of the third quarter. That means that this was all found prior to hurricane season. Are you guys smelling that? I just want to make sure that you guys heard that. Like something was happening, something was a brewing before.
Yeah, this is 100% prior to the storm. And by the way, while we're on the topic of the storm, what I want to share with you guys is just a huge thank you. And we'll go through it in about a week's time. The outpouring of support and help to our KW Jamaica offices has been huge. If you just jump on either the L5L Instagram, Danielle's Instagram from Pembroke Pines, the Partner Southwest Instagram, or mine, you'll see all of the donations and collections that have been received and have been received on the other side. Our very own Jose Fernandez flew out there last week. A group in the Pines office packed him suitcases. He took, I don't know, 150 pounds worth of supplies and hand delivered, and actually more, 200 pounds of supplies, hand delivered it, along with the ability for us to have raised over $4,000 in cash that will go directly to help our agents on the ground. Now, remember, the supplies and support that is going to Jamaica goes directly to our agents and to the market centers there. We have no ability to direct to go anywhere else. It goes there and then they get to decide what to do with it. But we still have so many agents in need. We have at least 100 that were in the affected areas. So didn't want to forget to say that. And thank you to all of you guys who stepped forward and brought in supplies and provided cash donations. All right. Now for what's happening in our market. Wanted to give you guys the broad overview. So if we take a look, we're going to start here, starts our slide presentation, and we're going to start with the Dade County. And so what you'll see is our year-to-date sales are down. At the end of the third quarter, we're down just under 9% in comparison to the prior year. And we know the last 2 years have been down year over year. Our median sales price, however, is up 1.5%, but it's still up. Here's the one that I want you to pay attention to, the two bottom ones. And that is the median percentage of original asking price. This is the negotiations that are taking place from the time the property goes on the market to the time it actually closes. And we are seeing the gap widening, meaning right now a seller on the market is obtaining 93% of their asking price, which is down 2.5, almost 3%, 2.7% from last year. And our days on market are up. We're up 3 weeks. So an additional 3 weeks to market the property and a widening gap in the negotiation of that. Anything you wanted to add on this one, Adrian?
No, just that it all starts as you'll see throughout the rest of the presentation is if you're asking yourself, okay, great, from they're getting 93% of their asking price, it's taking more time to market, the factors that affect that, and then how you get in front of that, right? Whether it's more inventory, they've got more properties to look at, then I'll use your phrase, Natascha, the negotiation gap is widening. What does that mean, right? That it's taking more negotiation to get to a price. And that, remember, I'll say one more thing here. That's on a well-priced listing. Couldn't
Oh,
help it.
not. We'll get into that as we keep going. You're 100% right on that, Adrian. So let's go over to Broward County. Similar story. Our year-to-date sales are down about 6% from the prior year. Median sales prices are up. We're coming in at 625,000 for a median priced single-family home. The gap has also widened on negotiations. Sellers are seeing 93.5% of their original asking price to sales price, which is down about a little over 1.5%. And our days on market are up to 17 days. So not quite 3 weeks, an additional 17 days over last year, 72 days on market. When we move over, we're back in Dade, and now we are in our condo market. And here's where you'll see it, kind of the gap widening. You'll see your sales are down 14.7%. By the way, this is no surprise, team. We already know this. And what's really important to remember is these stats are only the data from the MLS. So this does not include new construction. And if you take into account all of the new construction that we have here in South Florida, a majority of that product is in the condos. So understand that that's where, some of our consumers are being diverted to a new construction product, which will not show up in our stats from the MLS. All right, our median sales price coming in at 410, and that is actually down. So single family prices are up, even though sales are down. Here in the condo market, you'll start to see the prices were down. And the gap has widened. We have an additional 3 points over last year. So it's about a 10% gap from asking price to selling price of where the negotiations happen. So this has nothing to do with price reductions. This has to do with the final asking price in the MLS to what the ultimate closed sales price is. And it is almost a 10% gap. And then days on market, we are 116 days on market. So that's up an entire month. So 116 days on market for the properties that are actually selling. So we've got to get really, really good at our communication. Clearly, we've got to be great at marketing coming out of the gate, but we've got to get really good at communicating because now for the consumer who ultimately is able to sell, it is taking almost 4 months in this category.
I'm smiling because my head's doing what it does. I'm wondering, could the headline, instead of sounding the way that it does across all channels, the headline finally read something like, there's a consumer segment that has an advantage in this market, and who is it? And if you're smart, that's what you're advertising.
100%, 100%. And if we look here, we've got, again, we're still in the condo and townhouse market. So our year-to-date sales are down, similar to Dade, 14.4%. Our median sales price is also down 5.3%. We're coming in at 265. Our negotiation gap has widened. So from sellers asking price to ultimate close price, we're coming in at 88.8%. So about 11.5% negotiation off the final asking price, which is again down from last year. And our median days are up to 110 days. So we've got another quick poll for you. Davies, would you launch our poll? Really important. We'd like to know the current pace of the market in the area that you're working in. So you have 4 options on this one. Is the market still moving fast with multiple offers and low inventory? Because in some segments of the market, we are seeing that. Is the market balanced? It's steady, but very selective. Is it slowing where listings are taking longer to sell? Or has it stalled out and it is tough to get traction right now? 4 questions, and we've got, let's see, we're gonna give you guys a couple more seconds. We've got 25 of you so far answered, so not quite 50%. Give you a couple more seconds to think through this and
you know what my head was doing based on your last the last conversation. If we know that it's just right around that 11% is the negotiation gap, as you called it, if I show that to a prospective seller, shouldn't I just say, hey, look, let's just go straight for it instead of doing time over time over time and price adjustments. Let's just go straight to 10 or 11. And we're actually the ones selling this property. Now you create a feeding frenzy on your listing. Maybe you
Adrian,
shorten that.
I love that you said that, and we're going to show them a slide that will help get the consumer where it needs to be, right? We're going to
Oh,
show the cost of waiting too long. I
oh,
love
there
that.
it is. Look at that. Look at that.
So here's the results. Take a look at that. So a very small segment of the market, 3% still says, and that's actually only one of you. So you might had or might currently have great listings or in an area where it's still moving because you've got multiple offers coming in. 5 out of 37, so 14% said it's balanced. They're steady but selective. 65% answered slowing. Listings are taking longer. And then 19% of you, 7 out of 37, said it's stalled and it's tough to get traction. All right, team. So interesting results, but probably no surprise there.
Mhm.
All right, so here's sort of what's happening. This is a snapshot in time. So this was a snapshot on September 30th because, of course, active listings are a moving target and that changes from day to day. But on the September 30th date, you can see that your active listings were up and this is single families in both counties. In Dade County, our active listings were up year over year 22%, and in Broward for almost 15%. What was interesting is that your active listings were up in Dade County and every price point. Broward, they were actually down in two price points, and that was between 750 and a million and a million and a half, 1.9. And the active inventory was actually down in those two, but in every other price point, it was up, and it was most significantly up in your price points under 500,000. Guys, did you hear me? Under 500,000, there are single family homes. They exist. This is your investor opportunities. So let's not forget that this is actually a thing and still available to us. All right, then when we go here, we look at our active listings in our condo and townhouse market. And again, active inventory in Dade County up 19%, in Broward 15.3. And so it's up. Go ahead, Adrian.
No, so let me ask this question, because I think it's very important that we see this information. You put all the time to get these slides together. So let me just slow this down for a second. I'm a listing agent. I've got access to these two phenomenal slides, depending on what market I'm working with and what seller I'm working with. How do I utilize this slide to my advantage?
Well, you need to utilize this in conjunction with some of the other slides that we're going to show you, right? So you want to ensure that the consumer, that if you're going on a listing appointment, that the sellers understand the competition has actually increased for the number of properties that are currently on the market, which means the buyers have more choices. That's what it simply means. Buyers have more choices. The buyers have more choices. We need to be priced correctly. You could see the gap is widening, right, between what the buyer's willing to pay and what the seller's asking price has been. And that gap has widened. But we also need to look at condition, because if I'm on the market and I'm not competing with as many properties, well, the likelihood is the condition is the condition. If the buyer doesn't have choices, then they're going to pay the price no matter what the condition. And that ship has sailed. And condition right now is very important. So if I'm thinking condition, Adrian, what's one thing every agent should be doing?
I I'm thinking staging, right? A property that's staged. I mean, we have the data for it. A property that is staged compared to a property that's not, all things being equal, including I'll use your words, updatedness, right? Not being what other consumers might be looking at, will still get more attention on that listing. And I think that's kind of the name of the game that we're playing, which is get more eyes on this particular listing and use the tools to your advantage, staging being one of them. Am I off track or?
No, you're 100% on track. And so staging is critical. And we've got to start with at least the photography. So making sure your photographs are on point, doing digital staging, if anything else, throwing that in Gemini, getting your listing photos done professionally. If the property maybe needs some updating, maybe the color of the paint is off, whatever, seller for whatever reason doesn't have the funds to make it happen, digitally stage them in Gemini. Just make sure you're disclosing it in the MLS that that's what's been done. But the property has to look amazing for you to get the eyeballs on it and for you to get the actual physical closing happening right now. It is what it is. And this is the conversation we have to have with every seller in the market, especially because our actives are up. So thanks for adding that, Adrian. All
Cool.
right, here's the other one. Pricing. Pricing. We're still seeing massive price reductions. I mean, if we looked at last year this time, and we're just looking on the left-hand side of the screen, it's Dade County. We were, 41% of the properties that were selling needed a price reduction. This year, it's 55%. So more than half. Same story in Broward. It was 49% last year. This year, it's 58%. We've got to get the pricing right. So we're going to show you guys some tools that we hope you'll utilize to get the pricing accurate. The more we can price the property on the front end correctly, the higher the probability of a sale closer to the seller's asking price in significantly less time, saving the seller more money because we forget every month all the debt service and all the payments on the property.
I'm gonna steal something. I hate to do this, but I can't help it. You guys all have reaction buttons on your screen. Can I get a couple of hearts out there? Let me explain what I'm asking. How many of you suggested a price to your seller over the last couple of months only to not start at the price that you wanted to and end up pretty damn close to the price that you had suggested originally? Let me see some reactions. There they are. Look at them. Guys, the math is there. You know how to do this job. You've got the data in front of you. You guys are amazing at this. Now we just got to get much better at delivering that information to the consumer and helping them understand, look, 50, 60+ % of the time you're having to do price adjustments and you're waiting, and now there's more competition. Get in front of it. All right. Thanks for letting me do that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you guys saw the numbers here in Dade in the condo market, both Broward and Dade, 60%, 68% needed a price adjustment. All right, pendings. Well, here's a silver lining. Pending listings, although it doesn't feel that way, team, because we know we had a bumpy month, but for the quarter, they were pretty flat. They were down just ever so slightly, right? 3.8%, 3.1%. What we noticed, however, is that if we look at Dade County on the left-hand side of your screen, your pendings were actually down in your greatest financeable price points. So between 500 and a million, which is where majority of your finance buyers are sitting. It was actually up. Your pending sales were actually up in the over $1 million market, as well as in the 3 to 499 price point. They were up, which tells us that the consumer is really interest rate sensitive. So as interest rates started to trickle down over the last 4 weeks, 3 weeks, now they paused. There is an opportunity there because there are buyers sitting on a sideline that may be able to jump in as those rates start to move a little bit again. If we look over in Broward County, we're looking, interestingly enough, exactly the opposite story. We're down in the over $1 million mark. That's the inventory and the price point that came down. What actually went up is your consumer that was between 500 and a million, which is a finance consumer for the most part. So interesting to look at look at this data and kind of see where your consumers may be coming from that's causing this. Condo markets, we have got pending listings are flat. So this is a really good number. And if we look at Dade County right now, our pendings that went under contract flat year over year. That's great news for the condo markets currently. Where it is down is between 750 and 2 million, but it was up in a lot of our other price segments. Story in Broward is pretty similar, still down in Broward a little bit more, but it's pretty similar. We've got another poll here for you guys that we'd like you to answer. So Davies, would you launch that poll for us? All right. So right now, who do you feel has more confidence in this market? Is it sellers and they're still holding strong on price? Is it the buyer and they feel like they finally have leverage? Is it both and it's an even playing field, or neither because both sides are cautious or they are uncertain in this market? What do you guys think? All right, thanks. You guys are bringing it in.
I'm laughing because I know what my brain does. I'm like, look, when you read all this data, you're like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. That
Well,
one's,
that's what's interesting about it, Adrian, is because we have the data, but the consumer doesn't always have the right data. And so you kind
I
of
hear it.
wonder what they're feeling, what they're going through. All right, we've got, let's see, 67%, 69% of you have participated so far. Interesting, interesting. Nikki or Davies, can you all see the poll?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you end the poll? My mouse
Yep.
decided to quit working. And share the results with everybody.
Hey,
Sure
there
thing.
it is. Look at that.
Well, that's interesting. More than half
Yeah.
of you said that everyone's cautious right now, and there's a little bit of an uncertainty happening. So that's interesting.
You know what I love about this? This again, that's my brain doing its side of the equation. Uh, if you throw that into chat, right? Understanding some of the stuff that you're asking today and that you're learning today, neither both sides are cautious or uncertain. How would you handle the objection if you were the agent helping either a consumer on the selling side or the buying side? How would you help them walk less cautiously or with more certainty? And throw that out there and see what the answer shows up. And in it is a lot of what we're covering. It's beautiful, cool stuff.
Awesome. All right, Davies, would you go ahead and close that out, put the red X on that part of it?
All
Fantastic.
done.
You're done? Oh, you're holding.
I'm so sorry, Natascha. Can I do a shameless plug real quick? Everybody join me in your market center this week because we are pulling this data, putting it into AI and asking it to help us create social media posts. So if you're interested in playing with both the market reports as well as AI, as well as Canva, come to your respective day. Monday, I'm in Pembroke Pines. Tomorrow, I'm in Weston. Wednesday, I'm in Miami Beach. Sorry, just wanted to do that. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for jumping in and doing that. We were going to remind everybody, so that's really cool. Yeah, team, the data, just you having the knowledge without you sharing the knowledge and how you can utilize it for your marketing, not really going to help you. So anyhow, here's our numbers sold. We kind of went over that before, but we are total, these are units, right? So this is unit counts. Dade County, you have a little glimmer right there between 2 and 3.9 million. We're almost 10% up in units sold. Broward has a couple of different price points that are popping where unit solds are up and unit solds are down. It's mainly down where financing is concerned. And here's the condo market story is kind of similar. You'll notice it's the same thing where you've got cash in the markets, it's up, where you've got finance in the markets, it has been mainly down.
Here it is. Whew, look at that.
Yeah. So what you're looking at here these are the properties, again, Dade County single family homes on the left, Broward County single family homes on the right. What this is these are the properties that went in the MLS and failed to sell, also known as expired listings, but this is the failed listing opportunity. And so across the board in Dade County, 48% of all listings failed to sell in the third quarter, single family homes, and 43, almost 44% in Broward failed to sell. It's a really high number, almost half, right? And when we said actives are up and now more properties are not selling than, or getting close to half of the market not selling, we have got to get so good at pricing. But here's the other thing I want to share with you. This is a massive opportunity. This is an opportunity. If you have not worked, if you're an agent listening and you've never worked the expireds, I'm going to encourage you to take a look at the markets where you specialize, whether you're farming an area and that's the area, or you live in an area and you've never farmed and you do your business a different way. But I want you to take a look at the expired opportunities, the failed listing opportunities in your area, because there could be a glimmer of hope. We could be getting close to turning the page of the market. 2026 should be the beginnings of, should be. My crystal ball, I already told you all. There's so many things happening at a federal level that affect what happens here. I'm not saying that it's changing the market. I'm just saying that what's happening in New York could be a positive, a net positive for the Florida markets. What's happening with the change with with Fannie and Freddie, with the interest rates continuing to drop, with the credit score elimination, as well as a larger time period to do a mortgage, could change our markets over the next 12 months. There are sellers sitting here in these categories in both Broward and Dade County, and in both condos and townhomes, that have already indicated they would like to sell. Here is an opportunity to get in front of them, price them accurately, position them correctly with staging. And this could significantly increase sales over the next couple of quarters. Adrian, anything you wanted to add to that?
I think you said it right. You said it better. I'll just my brain's just making the phone call, right, to the expired seller. Hey, the market may not have given you hope a couple of months ago, but believe it or not, there's a ton of consumers still looking, ready to get off the fence because of all the cool things that are happening in interest rates, etc. You ready to price this correctly so we can sell this property for you? I don't know. That's what my head was doing.
100%. It is time to have conversations. That's where I'll leave it at. So big opportunity, don't miss it out. All right, so here is what I refer to as our rainbow slides. And this is just, we've got 4 of these. These would be the slides that I would download and I would ensure that I would have with every listing conversation and consultation that I'm going on for this quarter. And you're going to need this customized one that is specific to the county and property type that you work. And so if this is the first time you're seeing it, it's just a really simple slide. It shouldn't be new. This actually comes out of some of the material in the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. It's actually where it is, about chasing the market. And so what this tells us is that price and condition give us our value. And right now in Dade County, our single family homes, only 23% of the market was priced to market price and in good condition and sold in a median of 47 days, 23% of the market. Everything else either chased the market, which is 29% of the market, chased the market down, and it took 129 days to do it. So 4 times or twice as long, almost, 3 times as long. And then 48% of the market never sold. So almost half of that market never sold. We look at the graphs and data as information to arm you, the realtor, so you understand how to explain it. This simple slide right here is what I would love for you to share with your consumer, because it's much easier to understand and grasp. And it's a simple explanation of what's actually happening and all the data that goes into this. This is Dade County single family. Now we've got Broward. The story is similar. 23% of the market is, according to the data, priced correctly and accurately for market price and in the right condition. They sold in a median of 32 days. 33% of all listings chased the market, and it took almost 4 months, 118 days. And 44% of all listings are priced out of the market and they never sold. That's our single family home market. If we go and we take a look at our condo townhouse market, this is Dade County, 15%. This is where we really need help on getting this done accurately.
15%. Wow. Yeah, saw it.
Priced in the market. And 22% chased the market. Look at how many days. 15% sold in 58 days. The 22% that chased the market, 170 days. Adrian, you got a calculator?
I can open one up fast.
All right. So if we take 170 from 58, that gives us
12.
112. You
Yep.
divide that by 30 days on average, that gives us 3.7, almost 4 months. Takes 4 months longer to chase the market down than it does to price it accurately. And then 63% of the market, 63% is out of the market completely, means it didn't sell. So again, this is the slide to bring when you are going on your appointment. And then in Broward, in the condo and townhouse market, 13% of the market is in the market. 28% chase the market. If you're in the market priced correctly, 13% at 39 days. 28% took 159 days. Adrian, if you got that calculator, what's 159 minus 39?
All right. There you go. 159 minus 39. 120.
120. Divide that by 30.
4 months, almost.
4 months. So that's 4 months of carrying costs, 4 months of HOA, condo fees, all of that in addition, besides driving the price down. So we're going to show you a sheet shortly that will help you if you utilize that. All right, moving over to distress sales. Distress sales has been sort of non-existent in our market over the last 10 years, several years, and you'll see that we've been hovering around 0.5% to 1% of all sales for the last several years. Now, what you're going to notice is in the last quarter, you're going to see a bump. Now, it's not a major bump. It looks it big because, of course, it's a 0.5 point or a point higher
Right.
on the screen, right? And it's still significantly less than any normal market will give you. But this will show you that is the beginning signs of we are seeing where foreclosures and short sales will start to enter the marketplace.
You said it. I just want to make sure that everybody heard it. This is do we start getting ready to learn short sales when they hit, or is now the time to learn your short sale market?
Yeah, well, we have been doing a little bit of a roadshow. We did that last month. We had a lot of agents come through the short sale roadshow to understand how to do it. As a broker, or the two of us as brokers, we've seen more short sales in the last 90 days than we'd probably seen in the last 11 years.
I was going to say, yeah. We've signed more of those addendums.
Yeah, the arm's length transaction addendums, we hadn't seen them in years. And so now they're starting to show up. So team, make sure that you are prepared and you understand what's required in a short sale and that you understand the addendums. And Adrian, you added something to the opportunities for our agents, correct?
We did. We added an entire short sale package. So if you're working with a prospective seller for that, just drop the down. Oh my gosh, the drop down menu has a short sale.
Say that 5 times fast.
Opportunity list, right? Love it.
Yes, it's in your opportunities. It is a separate sheet now because it asks for additional information or different information, stuff that you need on the front end and stuff that you need on the back end. But it's important to note that it's there. And then again, in our condo and townhouse market, the increase you'll notice is also there. So probably about 1.5 to a point higher this quarter than it was the prior quarter, or about 1.5 over last year. All right, financing. Nothing majorly different in the way the properties have been financed. No major jump or reduction in cash in Dade County. The numbers were pretty similar. We saw a slight uptick in FHA and a slight pullback, but again, they're about 2 percentage points in conventional. And VA, unfortunately, is still staying at that 1.5 where it is. Cash single family homes coming in at 25%. Broward, a slight, again, about a point and a half, pullback in cash, pullback in conventional, and an uptick on the FHA side, with VA coming in just around 3.5% financing, and that's single family. In our condo and townhouse market, really no surprise here. The great majority of that market is paid for in cash. In excess of 50% of that market is cash in both counties. And then you've got conventional and then the measly FHA and VA that's taking place in those markets right now. All right, here we are. This is the slide we've been talking about and that Adrian's been addressing all along. This is really, really important. And the really cool thing is Adrian or Davies is going to be doing a road show in, I believe at this point, January, because we've got our different road shows happening right now on ensuring that you know how to utilize this incredible tool for you. It is basically a one pager that if you do correctly before going to your appointment, will help a seller understand that if they choose a price other than the recommended market price, that it will take them significantly longer to sell and potentially for significantly less money. So in the example here, we took just a simple example from Dade County. We took all areas, and so you would be able to go into your area selected at the top. You choose the area or the city and where the property is located. It would give us a market price based on what's happening in that market. Versus in this example, the seller was saying, well, I'd like to list at 769. Based on the data, the suggested market price was 700,000. In this example, if we priced it correctly, we would obtain 97% of the seller's asking price. The seller didn't price it at our price and they went with their price, they would only obtain 84%. 84% of their asking price is less than 97% of the market's suggested price and would do it in significantly more time. And then you would do all of the carrying cost involved. So the true benefit to a seller would be to actually price it accurately and correctly from the very beginning. By the way, this is an Excel. It does the calculations for you. There's not a lot other than you entering in your examples of the cost. So just want to make sure you all realized it's available. It is the stats. Davies, would you jump off of mute for a second and tell everybody where the stats are in Circle?
Absolutely. You go to Circle, look for the level 5 leadership space. Once you get there, you're going to see one that says Market Reports. Yes, Miguel Maria, Circle. For those of you that aren't aware, it's circle.so on your website or your Circle app. I believe that all of you should know how to get there, but it's level 5 leadership. Left-hand side, if it's on your app, you can hit on spaces at the top. You'll see all of your spaces. You'll see market reports. Market Monday has its own space, by the way. So if you're ever looking for these recordings for Market Monday, you want to go in there. Market reports is where you'll find these.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Going into our supply. Again, these are the very simplistic ones for you to look at and understand, but another great one to show the consumer. So supply is basically taking a look at our active listing inventory, the cadence in which we are putting properties under contract. And this basically states that as of September 30th, if no additional properties came on the market and sales continued to happen at the same pace they were happening for the month of September or the quarter, basically, that this is how many months of inventory we have. And so you can see this is a simple visual that shows you our months of inventory are increased across the board, other than one or two small little areas. You'll notice those as well. The red bar is this year, the gray or green bar is last year. And that basically shows us that in Dade County single family homes over $750,000 asking price, we've moved into a balanced market between 750 and 999. The moment we hit $1 million and we go over, we are now in a buyer's market. And we are still in a seller's market under the 750 up to 749. We're still sitting in a seller's market. And so that's single family homes in Dade. This is our Broward County single family home market. So you can take a look at that. Again, the story is the same. We're still sitting in more of a seller's market in Broward County right now, although we know it doesn't feel that way because we know it's taking much longer to sell. The number of your inventory from an inventory perspective and your clip of sales is still putting you in a seller's market. Then when we look at our condo and townhouse market, and here we take a look at Dade County condo and townhouse, and you can kind of see how many months of inventory we have. This is again a very important visual when you are going on an appointment for a condo or townhome. Really, really important to make sure the consumer sees and understands what's happening in the marketplace, as is this one over in Dade County. We can take a look at that, and the story is pretty similar. We are in pretty much in a buyer's market in the condo and townhouse market across the counties. So that was the last of the stats. We want to give you guys a couple of minutes. If you have any questions, we want you to ask your questions. You can throw them in the chat, but we want to make sure you are aware of our holiday party that is coming up. The holidays are upon us. Thanksgiving is what, 2 weeks away? Can't even believe this.
Right there.
It's right there. As a matter of fact, I started decorating yesterday for Christmas. And Chris looked at me like, you're kidding me, right? Like I've never been that person. I've never done it that early. It's always been after Thanksgiving. And I thought, no, I'm going to skip Thanksgiving this year. I'm going straight to Christmas. It just looks like it's so lit up beautifully. So we want to make sure you guys have an opportunity to come hang out with us at our party this year. It is December 11th. It'll be at 7 o'clock in the evening. This year we are back in Broward. We are in a new venue for us. It's called the Bauschy Food Hall. And it is on Pembroke Pines, on Pines and Douglas. We have the whole space to ourselves. So whether you just want to come and chill, there are chill vibe areas. If you want to come and dance, there will be dance areas. If you just want to hang out at the bar, well, there's that too. There's be plenty of food. And we also have a really cool game area. So we hope that you are all coming. Davies, there is an opportunity also for people to bring a guest, correct?
Absolutely. You are more than welcome to bring a guest. It is $40 per person. That does include their entry, dinner, their one complimentary drink, and of course, all the festivities. So make sure that you let us know in the registration. If you are bringing a guest, there are 2 ways you can pay. So just select and we will bill accordingly. We can't wait to have you all.
Awesome. And as a reminder, there is no cost. If you are an agent with us, there is no cost for you to attend. Just if you
Yes.
Miguel's on a roll today. I don't know if you saw
Oh
that.
yeah,
You saw that?
Miguel. Miguel is
I
like
can't see the chat.
the registration is in circle, Miguel. Okay, it is
Love
in
it.
circle.
I love it. Well, I would be remiss if we didn't thank our veterans. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. So those of you on the call, if you have served our country, our hats are off to you, and we are forever indebted and grateful and thankful for you and for what you have done for us. And as a reminder, make sure you send out a post and thank a veteran that is in your database and that is connected to you. And that might be a friend or family member for you. So
Love that you said that.
absolutely. Adrian, you have something to share with us.
Yeah, so just on a slightly different note, but same tone, right? Veterans Day is a reminder of the massive service debt that we owe our veterans and service members. So team, one way you can honor your veterans in this business, in the business that you're in, is to become and be real familiar with all of the VA products that our partners at Top Flight have, so that your veterans can utilize those earned benefits. So guys, don't forget, please reach out to your Top Flight loan officers for all of the up-to-date programs. They've got all that information ready to hand out to you.
Love that. And in honor of Veterans Day, one of our other partners, My RE Tasker, is also offering a 20% discount on their a la carte services. If you hit that QR code, My RE Tasker helps with all sorts of branding and marketing and paperwork, all the things that a real estate agent shouldn't be doing. But there is no monthly commitment. It is a per task commitment. And they've offered a 20% discount to our agents in honor of Veterans Day. So hit that QR code and you can take advantage of that. If you have more questions, Davies can always help you out with that as well.
Guys, and let me do this in 2 parts. First, to our esteemed business partners, our lenders, title specialists, attorneys, Gregory B. Taylor, Top Flight loan officers, and My RE Tasker, our vendor network. We extend our deepest gratitude. Our transactions succeed because of the expertise and integrity you guys bring to the table every day. And the second part of this, just know I'm going to do it. I want to give a huge, well-deserved thank you to our fearless leader, boss lady, aka Natascha, All the information derived from these slides and the presentation you guys all just witnessed requires an immense amount of time and hard work behind the scenes. So Natascha, for that, we thank you for always looking ahead and keeping us informed.
Well, I appreciate that, my friend. And thank you all. Thank you guys, Adrian. I appreciate it. Yes, my heart to you all too. Thank you guys. Love y'all.